Hi there. I'm Melissa Manchester, and I'm the next guest On Screen and Beyond.
On Screen and Beyond, an inside look into the entertainment world featuring interviews with people from the movie, TV, and music industry, news on upcoming TV and DVD releases, and the rumor mill. And now, here's the host of On Screen and Beyond, Brian Zemrak.
We're back for another new season of On Screen and Beyond. Back with a new set, as you can see if you're watching on the video version of the show on Spotify or YouTube. And back for another incredible list of guests that we'll be having here for our 19th season on Screen and Beyond. Thank you so much for stopping by, whether it's your first time here or whether you're a longtime viewer, listener of On Screen and Beyond. And this, of course, as I said, is On Screen and Beyond, the show that for nearly 20 years, it's been 19 years, we're working on to the 20th year, has brought you an interview with a guest from the movie, TV, or music industry and keeps you updated on what is coming your way as far as upcoming new movies, remakes, sequels, prequels, as well as what is heading our way on DVD, Blu-ray, streaming, the whole works, and of course, the rumor mill. This is episode 750 of On Screen and Beyond. I'm your host, Brian Zemrak, and season 19 has finally arrived. And I hope during my break, you had the opportunity to catch up on past episodes of On Screen and Beyond. If not, remember, you can always go back to your favorite podcast provider and listen to every single past episode right from the first show, which featured Mickey Jones, who was the drummer for Kenny Rogers in the first edition. He was the drummer for Bob Dylan. He even had a recurring role on Home Improvement with Tim Allen. So many interesting guests we've had, and you can check them all out in our past episodes. Video versions, just the past year, though. But so this week, we're starting season 19, and we have a great guest coming your way. We have Grammy winner Melissa Manchester joining us. Now, Melissa has had so many incredible hits, such as Don't Cry Out Loud, You Should Hear How She Talks About You, Midnight Blue, and so many others. And she will be at the Orinda Theater in Orinda, California on Sunday, October 5th, to kick off their season of Live at the Orinda concert series. And Melissa will be their startup, and she's going to be coming up in a few minutes right here on Screen and Beyond. If you wish to contact me, you can, give me a suggestion or whatever you want to chat about. You can turn around and give me a suggestion for a guest or whatever. You can email it to me at feedback@onscreenandbeyond.com. And if you're out there and you want to subscribe to On Screen and Beyond, whatever podcast platform you use, you can get us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Alexa, Podbeam, on Spotify for the audio version. Or if you're looking for the video version, like I said, Spotify and YouTube are where you can get that. And you can see what's going on here and our nice new set and everything. So I hope you enjoy it. I'd love to hear what you think of it. If you want to email me, go ahead and do that. And be sure to follow On Screen and Beyond on Instagram and on Facebook. Still working on X. I've got it on there, but I haven't had a chance to update it. I've been taking a break here for a while. And let's get right into this week's show. We're going to start off the season with lots of information, news to share, and Melissa Manchester is coming up in a few minutes. But right now, it's time for remakes, sequels, and prequels, next on Screen and Beyond.
Please hang up and try again.
Remakes, sequels, and prequels, well, David Harbour and Kristen Bell are in the cast of Violent Night 2. Harbour, he's going to resume his role as the kick-ass Santa Claus, and you can look for it on December 4th, 2026. So a little while for that one. And it looks like Fall 2 has finished principal filming for the survival thriller over in Thailand this time. And it's starring Harriet Slater of Outlander, Blood of My Blood fame. August 6, 2027 is the release date for the Bluey movie, which sends the popular animated show to the big screen. And on February 13th, 2026, the remake of Wuthering Heights with Margot Robbie will be landing in theaters. That's it for remake, sequels, and prequels. Coming up next on Screen and Beyond, upcoming new movies. Upcoming new movies, Eli Roth and Snoop Dogg have joined forces to produce a new horror film called Don't Go in That House, Bitch. Roth will also direct, and Snoop will be writing and producing the film's soundtrack. And Sydney Sweeney is now getting Oscar buzz for her role in the film Christy, which covers the true story of a woman boxing champion, Christy Martin. And it looks like November 7th is the release date on that one. And let's see, one more thing here. Pamela Anderson and Guy Pearce will headline the upcoming film called Queen of the Falls. The story is said to be mostly under wraps, but it's about two lovers on the run. And that is it for upcoming new movies. Next on Screen and Beyond, movies and TV on DVD and streaming. Movies and TV on DVD and streaming October 7th. I Know What You Did Last Summer goes 4K Blu-ray and DVD. Fire Country Season 3 goes to DVD on September 16th. And Superman is going to be flying into the 4K Blu-ray and DVD world on September 23rd. Also on September 23rd, Watson Season 1 will be landing on DVD. And Elsbeth Season 2 hits DVD on September 30th. And that's it for movies and TV on DVD and streaming. Coming up next on Screen and Beyond, it's TV and entertainment time. TV and entertainment time. Kurt Russell has joined the cast of The Madison. Now that's a spin-off of Yellowstone starring Michelle Pfeiffer, and rumors are out that it will be getting a second season renewal even before it premieres. It follows a New York City family as they move to the Madison River Valley in Montana. And the rumor mill is churning around about a new season of White Lotus, the new one that's coming up. And where will it be? And it seems France is looking at a high possibility. We'll keep you updated on what's going to happen with that one. And sadly, Mark Volman, co-founder of the group The Turtles and vocalist on the classic hit song Happy Together, has passed at the age of 78. And that's it for TV and entertainment time. Coming up next, we sit down and we chat with Grammy winner, singer-songwriter Melissa Manchester right here on Screen and Beyond. Starting out our 19th season on Screen and Beyond, our guest is a Grammy-winning singer-songwriter who has given us the hits Don't Cry Out Loud, Midnight Blue, You Should Hear How She Talks About You, Just You and I, Just Too Many People, Come In From the Rain, and so many others, including one of my favorites, Through the Eyes of Love. She has had 19 charted Billboard songs. She has appeared in films, on stage, on TV, and on Sunday, October 5th, she will be performing at the Orinda Theater in Orinda, California for the start of their 2025-2026 Live at the Orinda Concert Series. And what a start it's going to be. It's Melissa Manchester. Melissa, welcome to On Screen and Beyond.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Now, Melissa, in that intro, I'm looking at all the songs you did, and that's just a small amount of what you've done. I mean, I just hit a few of them. But how do you prepare for a concert when you have so many songs that you've done? How do you pick? And then I'm sure you're going to do other stuff too. So how do you get about, deciding?
Well, that's a very good question, and certainly a reasonable one. I wanted this particular show that I'm about to do called 50 Threads to really engage the audience in the journey of how I got here, weaving the songs through the stories. So I wanted it to be more theatrical, so you really get a sense of the songs coming out of the story. But I wanted to perform songs that I've never performed before, songs from the songs I wrote for Disney, for the Disney company, for The Great Mouse Detective,
Yes.
and a very, very early song just to show where my heart was. It was so open. So that was how I did it. I really wanted to answer what the difference was between a concert, and then I wrote, and then I wrote, and then I wrote, and a one-woman show, and see if I could answer that.
Now, is this show, you know, is it strictly songs, or do you engage with the audience? Do you talk with them and everything?
Well, I don't ask for answers.
Right. No, no,
I
I
talk to
understand.
them.
Yeah.
I talk to them, and I weave my stories and my songs together. And I'll be playing with a band, which I don't often do, which is really cool. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I love it when an artist is doing a show, a concert, whatever, and they tell stories. Because I mean, of course, on this show, that I mean, that's what we do, tell stories.
Yes,
But
exactly.
it makes you feel like you're getting to know the person, and it's just so
Yes,
nice.
yes, and I've been told over the years because I'm a blabbermouth, and audiences after the show when I do my meet and greet, they always say, "We love your stories." So that's very sweet.
When you decided that you were going to get into music, how old were you? When did you decide that, this is what I want to do?
I was 5. I,
5.
yeah, I first heard Ella Fitzgerald sing. My dad had brought home an LP, put it on our hi-fi player, and I heard her. She was just playing, singing with the pianist Ellis Larkins on an all Gershwin album, and I thought, whatever this is, you are my North Star, because I didn't know what she was singing about, but the tone of her voice was so captivating, and she's always been my North Star.
Yeah. Now, in your show, do you take the audience back to,
Oh, yes. Oh, I go all the way back to my first musical memory. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Wow. That's incredible. It
Yeah,
just, and I mean, who better than Ella Fitzgerald? I mean, you know,
exactly.
yeah. Were there any other people who inspired you too, besides Ella?
Oh, sure. Well, Judy Garland and Ella were my two musical godmothers. They didn't know it, but the tones of their voices always, always directed me. And in terms of songwriting, Laura Nyro, who many people don't know, but she was a New York songwriter, one of the first women who was an independent artist. She wrote very famous songs, Stone Soul Picnic, that was recorded by Fifth
Fifth
Dimension,
Dimension, yeah.
and When I Die, um, uh, and she just had a
Blood, Sweat,
very
and Tears for When I Die?
exactly,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
exactly right. And she just had a very singular way of writing songs and using language and using her voice as an instrument. And it was just incredible. But I grew through this incredible period in the early 70s of music that was on the radio, the Beatles, Earth, Wind and Fire, Stevie Wonder, James Taylor, Carole King, Joni Mitchell. I mean, it was just spectacular because in that moment, melody was still leading songwriting as opposed to percussion, which now mostly leads songwriting. So it has morphed. The American musical song has morphed into another kind of version of vehicle for ideas. Um, when I started, there were still very long melodic lines, very long lyrical ideas, and it was sort of like the end of that, and it was just incredible.
Now, all those people that you mentioned, did you ever get a chance to meet any of those people?
Oh yes, I met Paul McCartney, and I met Ringo
Oh,
Starr, and I met James Taylor, and I did meet Laura Nyro, and I actually met Joni Mitchell not too long ago when I was paying tribute to Bette Midler on the Kennedy Center Honors, and she was in the audience.
wow.
Yeah.
I cannot fathom meeting any of those people that you just mentioned.
Well, they're unbelievable. I mean, they are unbelievable. They occupy such a singular moment in history, and they are so revered by by the world. Stevie Wonder is an incredible soul. He's just his body of work, I mean, is sort of equal to Irving Berlin, who essentially started the American popular song, because the variety. is so outstanding. It just came out of him.
Yeah. Wow. It's like I say, but then again, I'm honored to have you on the show. I mean,
Thanks.
it's just, so nice to have you on here.
Thank you.
And now you mentioned Bette Midler.
Yes, I was the founding member of the Harlettes, and I worked behind and for Bette Midler for 6 months when Barry Manilow was her music director, and it was just spectacular.
How did you come about to meet Bette and Barry Manilow? I mean,
Well, Barry and I were both jingle singers. You know, we sang advertisements, and we met in the studio, and we became very fast friends. And our friendship has endured all these years, I'm happy to say. And in that moment, he was the new music director for this up and coming performer, Bette Midler, and she had just been on the Johnny Carson show, and she just tore the place up. And I'd not seen her before, and I thought, what am I looking at? And as it turned out, she worked on the same street as I did in a different club. And on her night off, she and Barry came to see me at my club, and I did my set. And after I I went over to their table and introduced myself, and I told her about how excited I was to see her on the Carson show. And I asked her what she was doing next, and she said, "Well, I'm getting ready for my first Carnegie Hall concert." And I said to her, "Oh, are you going to have any background singers?" And she said, "Well, I don't know. Would you like to sing in back of me?" And I thought to myself, "Well, actually, I'd like to sing instead of you, but in the meantime, I'll be happy to." And so Barry and I created the Harlettes, and I was the toots in the middle. And as I said, I worked for her for 6 months. It was incredible, incredible moment.
you said that you would wished you were on the stage as in the front line on
Yeah.
Carnegie Hall, but eventually you did, and not too long after, if I'm correct, right?
Yes, yes, yes. It took me 7 years to get a recording contract. I would just use all the monies I'd earned and make demos and send them to lots of recording companies which existed in those days. And I'd be rejected over and over and over and over and over and over. And then I finally auditioned for Larry Utall, who was the president of a record company called Bell Records. And you probably know, but in the day, there were singles labels and albums labels. And Bell Records was a singles label, but he wanted me to be their first album artist. So when Bell was absorbed into Arista Records, and Clive Davis was the president of that, I and Barry Manilow and Tony Orlando and Don were the three keystone artists
Mhm.
that were built the foundation of Arista Records.
Yeah, I was going to say, if I remember right, the single Mandy was on Bell Records, if I remember right, and then
I
when you
think so.
mentioned Tony Orlando and Don, they were
Yes.
on. I remember that.
Yes.
So it's
Tie a yellow ribbon. Yep.
yes, yeah, yeah, and it's that's not a bad lineup to move into
No.
their crew of people that they have. That's for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah, it was pretty heady days. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, did you and Barry ever get a chance to sing a jingle together, or was it always separately?
No, we sang lots of jingles together in choral parts, because we would usually be with, 4 or 8 other voices. But he had asked me to sing in the early days of our friendship. He had asked me to sing on a demo of a song of his called "Could It Be I'm Falling in Love," and it's on one of his anthologies. But more recently, I had asked him in 2017, I had asked if he would sing a duet with me on my album called The Fellas, which was my tribute to several of the great men that just touched me and moved me growing up. Many years prior, I had done a companion piece called Tribute, which was my tribute to several of the women singers that meant an equal amount of beauty in my life. Yeah. So he said yes, and we did a video and a recorded duet for me and my gal as a tribute to two of our favorites, Gene Kelly and Judy Garland.
Now,
Yeah.
people can still get this album, of
Oh yeah,
course.
you can. Yeah, yes, and you can see the video on YouTube. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. So it sounds like you enjoy working with friends, not just collaborators. You sound like you enjoy working with friends.
Well, I love my friends and I love talent, and these particular friends are extraordinarily talented and have had very long careers like mine. And it's always very dear to be together. And I'm always very grateful when they say yes. But I'm interested in people who are decent and talented, because what I have learned the hard way is just because you're talented doesn't necessarily make you decent. It's just sort of a chemical imbalance. It could have been a twitch,
Hmm.
but talented people are fascinating. And as a collaborator for songs in particular, I'm always looking to know how people think, how they use language or how they use music in interesting, unexpected ways.
Yeah. And Barry is so
Oh, he's
talented. I mean, he
He's
is
he's
amazing.
spectacular. Yeah, he's spectacular. And honestly, he just never thought that it would work out this way. He always wanted to be an arranger or a composer. And it turns out he's a brilliant showman. And he's just not going to stop. Every time he says, "This is my last tour," he gets home for a couple of weeks and then he gets cranky and he said, "I'm going back on tour." So that's what he's doing.
Yeah. Now, years ago, I saw Barry years ago
Hmm?
on stage,
Hmm?
and I know he did a segment of songs, jingle songs
Yes.
that he had done. Now, do you do anything like that? Some of the songs that you
No, no, because I didn't write any of the jingles. I mean, Barry wrote State
uh
Farm is there and all of that stuff, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
yeah.
So that's part of his cachet as a composer.
Hmm.
I was mostly a jingle singer. I mean, as was he, but he
Yeah.
wrote a lot of what he
Yeah.
was singing.
Hi, folks. I'm Ray Stevens, and I'm on screen and beyond.
Now, Melissa Manchester, singer, songwriter. Which came first?
Singing, actually. I started songwriting when I was about 17. I started writing poetry and became a published poet when I was 15. But then I started songwriting when I was 17. Um, I had a couple of friends who were young songwriters at NYU, where I went to college for 1 year, and they knew that I was a jingle singer. And in those days, in order to try to get a publishing deal, you would actually have to go into the publisher and play your songs. And so my friends asked me to sing their songs for these presentations, and I would watch them write. And one day I went back to my parents' apartment where my old grand piano was that I practiced on when I was little. And I started writing songs, and I couldn't stop writing. It was like discovering a second language. And I just wrote and wrote and wrote and I wrote and I wrote. And if you sneezed, it would be fodder for a song. And I ended up going back to one of those publishing companies, Chapel Music, and I ended up getting a staff writing deal.
You mentioned sneezing, and you gained something. You could write something from that. Was
Yeah,
a lot of your writing experiences from
from
experiences
sneezing.
around you? Yeah, from sneezing. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I mean, it has taken me a really long time to see how my mind works. Um, because, for me, my mind is not about just making mundane decisions about everyday life. When I actually get an idea, if I'm in a coffee shop and I eavesdrop over the booth behind me and I hear a conversation and something captures my imagination and it stays with me, then, and if it stays with me over a couple of days, then I know it really wants to be expressed. So then the detective work starts. Then I have to figure out if it's the title or if it's an idea tucked into the second verse or who's singing it and why. I mean, it's really, really interesting. But I had to learn all of that with my mind. And I have said before, I regard my mind as kind of a pet because it's always sniffing around for an idea because writing and creating is so intrinsic to who I am. And though it's hard work, because it is like, as somebody once said, songwriting is like peeling an onion from the inside out, which is a very good way to describe it, because you don't know what these clues are telling you. I, I, I am, I love being engaged by the chase of it, by the wrestling the idea to the ground and seeing what happens. It's incredible. And it's always incredible. As soon as I finish writing a song, I don't know how it came through me and on to the next song.
I know what you mean. I mean, I've never written anything like you have, but I have written songs for a movie that I did, an animated movie, and
Cool.
it was one of those things that, and it took a long process to do it.
Uh,
But I'd be driving down the road, and all of a sudden this tune would come into my head, and I'd start thinking the words and everything, and then I'd start forgetting what I had
yes.
done because I
Yes,
was
you
going
must.
to work or something.
Yes, that's the thing about inspiration. It evaporates as soon as it shows. And so you have to capture it either on your phone. I have been known to write down ideas in lipstick on my arms as I was driving before there were cell phones. I remember being in an airplane once, long before there were cell phones, and an idea came to me, and I wrote out this whole piece on an entire roll of paper. And at one point, the stewardess was banging on the door to see if I was okay. Because I was in there so long. But that's how it shows up.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. I
You got to do what
mean,
you got to do. That's exactly right.
yeah. Well, another person I had on, I think it was one of the first shows I ever did 19 years ago.
Uh-huh.
He wrote, I can't remember what the name of it, the Speedy Gonzalez.
Huh?
Okay, long time. I can't remember what his name was.
Uh-huh.
But anyways, he had told me when, because that was a million seller hit and everything, that he wrote. And
Yeah.
he said, if you can't remember it, then it's not a good song. Now, whether that's true, I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, I do for the last several years, I have written away from the piano. The piano is my instrument, and I do that intentionally so that I can remember the tune well enough so that I can sing it over and over and over and create sort of a new groove in my brain where that melody resides, and then go to the piano and then find the harmonics for the tune, as opposed to sitting down playing a chord, which probably was from the song before, because that's how body memory works. I really want the melody to be strong enough where it is what walks into the room first. I just think that's most interesting.
Yeah. You are one of the only or the only person who has sang two songs at the Oscars. Is that
I
is
was the
that
first one. Yeah, I was the first one who was privileged to sing two two nominated songs. Yeah, on the Oscars, songs that I recorded, and it was a phenomenal evening. I was wearing my first Bob Mackie gown. I was walking in very high heels, and the director thought it would be a really good idea for me to walk down a staircase with no banister in front of a billion people. And the good news is nobody heard my knees knocking and I didn't fall. So that was a good thing.
now
But
how
it's
does that work? We see that and hear that at the Oscars. This person's wearing a Bob
yeah,
Mackie, or this one's
yeah,
wearing.
yeah, yeah.
Do they call you and say, "Hey, we want you to wear this dress," or does somebody set that up, or do you call
I think
them? Or
yeah, it was such a long time ago. I think it was the beginning of my relationship with Bob Mackie, who in the day I was privileged to have him design several of my costumes. Um, but yes, I'm sure my management got in touch with his office, and it was incredible. He's just a magnificent person and very dear. And the in those days, the women who worked for him, who did all the incredible beading on all of the famous gowns, Cher's and everybody's, Carol Burnett's, those were all hand sewn by all of these refugee women, a lot of them from Ukraine, and just incredible artistry.
This is John O'Hurley. You remember me as Jay Peterman, and I'm on screen and beyond.
yeah. Now, Melissa, one of the other things I noticed is back in the 70s,
Hmm.
you mentioned Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr that
Hmm.
you've met.
Hmm.
You actually sang on a special, right? How the Beatles changed the world or something like that. Some special back in the 70s.
Think I did. It's a long time ago. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah. So I was just curious how, what's the experience of singing one of their songs, you know?
Well, I mean, the experience of singing one of their songs is only equal to having met Paul McCartney. When I first moved out to California, I was invited to this party hosted by Paul and the late Linda McCartney. And it was at the estate of Harold Lloyd, who was a very famous silent screen star.
Hmm.
And it was in the height of summer. It was a very balmy evening. And there were about 500 people invited. And I remember driving up the driveway, and there was Paul and Linda. They were greeting everybody.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah.
Incredible.
Meeting somebody like that is meeting, like the president or the king or of England or something,
Exactly.
I mean, it's like,
Exactly. Mhm.
wow. Of all the different people that you've written for or sung for now, and I want to mention that, a lot of times we don't remember who the songwriters are because we always remember the
Yeah,
singer.
sure.
But you wrote the song "Whenever I Call You Friend" for Kenny
Yes.
Loggins, or he sang
With
it with,
Kenny. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So, how many other people have you written songs for?
Quite a few. Barbara Streisand and Roberta Flack and Dusty Springfield and Cleo Lane and Johnny Mathis and Mel Torme and Margaret Whiting and Captain and Tennille.
Yes,
A lot of people.
coming from the
Yeah.
rain. I remember that one easily.
Yeah. It
Yes.
was, yes, it's been, and they would hear many of my songs because I would record them. And yes, it's just incredible when people record your songs because they're investing their own point of view and their own life experience in your song, and they often reveal things you haven't even thought of.
Yeah.
It's
Do they ask you to record a song that you've written, or is it just they can do that, but then they have to pay you royalties or whatever?
Well, yeah, that's part of the business part of it, but
Yeah.
I don't hear from them. I mean, my publisher hears
Right.
from their representatives.
Yeah. 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 No, I was just curious how, if some of these people were your friend. Well, Kenny, you actually did sing the song with him in one of your
Well,
albums, right?
at long freaking last. It took us 45 years to get to the recording
About
of it.
time, huh?
I made review and I said, we had tried to get together and things just didn't work out. And I finally said, I'm going to record this song with somebody, but I want to find my own take on the song. I didn't want to recreate his version. And I finally did. And I said, what he had the track for a couple of weeks and I didn't hear from him. And I texted him one night and I said, just let me know if you're in or out because, I need to move on. And it was the last track of the album. And he said, well, why don't you send it to me? And I said, well, you've had it for 2 weeks. And he said, hold on. And he texted me right back. 5 minutes later, he said, I love it. I'm in. And we had the best time recording this and doing the video. It was such a happy event. It was really beautiful.
Yeah. Now, uh, I'm not looking for, saying any names or anything like that, but has there ever been any of the songs that you wrote that you just, it made you cringe that, but like I say, I don't want any names or the song or anything like that. I'm not, that's not what this show is about, but I'm
Yeah,
just
no.
curious.
Yeah, no. Most of the caliber of these artists are so beautiful that they really honored the work. They brought they brought a whole new spin. I no, I when however, when people sometimes post something that they've sung in a karaoke bar, well then sometimes yes,
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I understand what you're saying there. Wow. Because sometimes it's like, okay, do something else.
yeah,
You know,
yes.
go do gardening or something.
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah, it must be amazing to be able to, write, sing, and do all the things that you do.
Well, it is, and also on review, I got a chance to rethink Midnight Blue, my first hit that I wrote with Carol Sager. to do it as a duet with Dolly Parton. It was just amazing. The song was not written as a duet, and she asked me to find her something to sing on the project. And I thought, what could be turned into a duet? And I thought Midnight Blue between two women, two old friends, might be so touching, and it was. And she was incredible. It was right before her husband passed away, and she's just the smartest girl in the room. I mean, she just is. She's incredible. And we shot it down in Nashville, and people just adore her. And she is a true queen and a deserving one for sure.
Yeah. She seems like a very nice person.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Just a gal.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. So October 5th, you are going to be
Yes.
at the Orinda, and it's something that people have got to see. I mean, I can't imagine what it's going to be like that night, especially at the Orinda, because if people haven't been there, it's so intimate. I mean, they can't reach out and touch you, but I mean, it's very intimate, and it's
Great.
going to
Well,
be.
I'm great. Well, I'm told it's sold out, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, yeah, and but people should still be calling for tickets,
Oh,
because
sure.
they
Yeah,
some people back out at the last minute for
that
whatever
is
reason.
true.
So you can
Yep.
still get tickets possibly. So we'll see what
Mhm.
happens with that. But be sure to keep trying to get your name on the list, because there will be
Yes.
a call list. And you haven't been to the Orinda yet.
No. No.
Yeah, it has that old theater feel. You know,
Beautiful.
it's really something that's
Beautiful.
you have to experience it, and having
Right.
you there is
Mhm.
going to be just incredible.
That'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
So before we finish up, I have
Yep.
one final question that I want to ask you. And
Sure.
this takes us away from everything that you've written, everything you've sung. And, like you say, there's so many other questions. Marvin Hamlish, I could ask you about
Yes.
him. Through the Eyes of Love is one of my favorite songs. It's just so many things.
Yep.
But when you sit back and relax, what do you enjoy on TV? What's your favorite TV shows and movies now and of the past?
Um, I I have binge watched The Newsroom on HBO.
Mhm.
I've binge watched Blue Bloods. I'm now loving The Pit. Yeah, I the thing about The Newsroom, which was done in 2010, it is as relevant today as when it was first presented. And yeah,
Mhm.
it's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about movies? You have a favorite movie?
Do I have a favorite movie? Well, I have several. Auntie Mame, the original Miracle Worker with Anne Bancroft and Patty Duke. Um, lots of movies. I
Yeah.
love movies. Yeah.
One of the things that you mentioned at the very beginning
Mhm.
was that made me think, oh, you must like The Wizard of Oz,
Oh well,
because
of
Dorothy
course.
and
It's a classic. That score is incredible. Harold Arlen and Yip Harburg, two of the greatest songwriters of all times.
yeah, and Judy Garland.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, because when you mentioned that, that was the first thing that popped into my mind is, maybe
Yeah.
that's one of your favorite movies. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. And I had the privilege to see her when I was about 9 at the Palace in New York. And she was just spectacular. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, Melissa, I cannot thank you enough for taking this time to share with us. And like I say, October 5th, tickets are sold out, but you can still turn around, get your name on a list,
Yep.
and there's a possibility that you can still get in to see it. And
Great.
Melissa, thank you so much for sharing with us.
My pleasure. You're very welcome. Thank you.
And there she is, Melissa Manchester, and I thank her so much for joining us here and sharing her story with us. And if you are in the San Francisco Bay Area on Sunday, October 5th, be sure to see Melissa live at the Orinda Theater in Orinda, California. It's going to be a great show, so you don't want to miss that. And we'd like to remind you to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to tell a friend so they too can enjoy some of their favorite TV, movie, and music stars as they share their stories and projects right here on Screen and Beyond. I hope you'll join us once again. And that's it. That's a wrap for this episode of On Screen and Beyond. So until next time, when we once again take you on screen and beyond. I'm Brian Zemrak. Take care.